Hello guys, welcome back to Tax Talks. So today we are going to talk about e-invoicing in Malaysia. But before we get into it, let me introduce our guest today. We have the tax expert. Also we have an accountant.
Hello guys.
And the last one, we have a business owner that will be joining us today. Hello. So first thing first, I just want to ask, what exactly is invoicing? And honestly, how is it different from the normal invoices we have been using all this while?
Okay, so e-invoice is basically a digital representation of a transaction between the supplier and the buyer. It replaces a paper or digital documents such as invoices, debit note, and credit notes. So basically, e-invoice contains the same essential information as a traditional document. For example, suppliers and buyers information, item description, quantity, and the price, also the price. So which records the transaction data for daily business operations. So but unlike traditional invoice, e-invoice are actually validated first via My Invoice hosted by the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia, or more friendly known as the IRB, or through application in programming interface or API before they are sent to the customers. So it's not just like, oh, we got paperless. It's more than that. It's pre-validated, which makes it more secure and honestly harder to manipulate.
Okay, Wee. Just to make sure I understand, does that mean businesses can just issue invoices freely anymore?
Okay, in short, yes. Previously, they were free to print invoices like in PDF or paper format and immediately hand them over to your customers. Now, under the e-invoice system, they can still issue invoice like normal, but every invoice has to go through the system and get validated in near real time. So the system checks for mandatory fields like tax identification numbers and correct formatting. Once it passes, IRB will issue a unique identifier and a QR code, just like we can see in our receipts nowadays. So only then it is considered a valid tax invoice to give to your customer. So this will create a proper audit trail that can be tracked, since every validated invoice is stored in the My Invoice database. So the auditor doesn't need to dig through physical files and documents, but can simply pull the digital records to see if the numbers match the tax filings.
Okay, that actually makes sense. So then, I'm curious, why did the Malaysian government even introduce this system in the first place?
Okay, under the 13 Malaysia Plan, the government is focusing on strengthening the digitalizing tax administration and further emphasizing the accelerating digital government and economy, as well as promoting strategies to enhance business productivity and competitiveness. So in line with that, I can see that the implementation of e-invoice is one of the initiatives taken by the government to enhance the efficiency of tax administration. So apart from the Malaysia's digital transformation agenda, I believe the main reasons of e-invoice are actually to improve tax compliance and to reduce the tax evasion, also to make tax administration more efficient overall.
Was tax evasion really that serious before?
Yeah, to a certain extent. So issues like underreported income and even fake invoices were concerns. So e-invoice helps to reduce those gaps by increasing transparency and in transactions.
So, what are the main tax problems that e-invoicing is actually trying to solve?
So one big issue is tax leakage. So when income is not fully reported or when expenses are falsely claimed. So with e-invoicing, everything leaves a digital trail, which makes it more easy for IRB to verify whether the transactions are real or not.
So basically, it makes it harder for people to actually hide the transaction.
Yeah, exactly. So everything becomes traceable and verifiable. That's the main idea.
Okay, and how exactly does it help reduce tax evasion or the shadow economy?
Okay, so basically, because now invoices need to be validated through the system, it becomes really difficult to issue fake invoice or underreport sales. So businesses are kind of pushed into the formal economy where everything is properly recorded.
Ah, I see. But realistically, do you think people will still try to find loopholes?
Yeah, honestly, there will always be a attempt, but the system definitely reduces the opportunities compared to the old manual way.
Yeah, but would you say e-invoicing is more about tax compliance or digital transformation?
Oh, I would say actually both. So tax compliance is definitely the main goal, but at the same time, it kind of forces businesses to modernize their systems. So it naturally drives the digital transformation too.
Okay, so let's talk about the impact. How does e-invoicing affect big companies compared to the SMEs?
Usually, the large company have already the paper accounting system in place, but they have resources to integrate e-invoicing into their existing enterprise system and invest in the necessary system and upgrades and automation. Maybe not so much issue for them. For SMEs, they may struggle more because of limited budget, fewer staff, and also less technical exposures. So they can utilize My Invoice portal at no cost because that is free. This helps reduce compliance costs and lower barriers to adoption, particularly for small business.
So does that mean it's more of a burden for SMEs?
In the short term, yes, but in the long run, it can actually improve their record keeping and efficiency.
Okay. So now, from a business owner perspective, what are the biggest challenge that SMEs face?
I think the biggest one is cost, like software upgrades and system changes. All that can be quite expensive. Then on top of that, training staff and changing how they normally work takes time.
Oh, I see. So, do you think most small business owners are actually ready for these changes?
I think some are, especially the younger or more digital savvy ones. But a lot of them still need proper support and guidance.
I want to ask something else. Will the consumer actually feel any difference?
Indirectly, yes. They may not see it directly, but they will receive more accurate invoice, and also there's better transparency in transactions overall.
So basically, it's not that obvious to customer, but it will trust.
Yeah, exactly.
And how does this help IRBM specifically?
It actually give IRB access to real-time or near real-time transaction data. So monitoring, audits, and compliance checks become much more efficient.
So, what does the company actually need to do to comply with e-invoicing?
So basically, they need to register with My Invoice portal to make sure that accounting systems are compatible and to train their staff, and also to start issuing invoice to IRBM requirements. There are guidelines, also frequently asked questions, officially published by IRBM to as the primary reference for taxpayer to implement e-invoicing.
Is that like a one-time setup or something they keep on adjusting?
More like ongoing actually. Business may keep to adjusting their process as they adapt.
What happens if business doesn't comply?
So actually, the government provides a relaxation period to implement e-invoices, whereby businesses are allowed to issue consolidated e-invoices instead of individual e-invoice for each transaction. So they are also benefited from reduced compliance requirements, relief from penalties for certain non-compliance issues while adapting to the system and processes before full enforcement takes effect. This approach seeks to balance tax compliance objectives with the operational realities faced by SMEs and micro businesses. So it is a policy measure to support digitalization and voluntary.
So, it's quite strict then.
The answer is yes and no, because Malaysia's approach to e-invoicing is generally considered firm in policy but gradual in implementation. It is a mandatory requirement. Once the business falls within the implementation threshold, they are legally required to comply. Non-compliance can attract penalties under the Income Tax Act. But it is gradually implemented to facilitate a smooth transition for business to comply. So this reflects Malaysia's commitment to achieving compliance objectives while ensuring that smaller businesses have sufficient time to adapt their systems and processes.
So, do you think the benefit outweigh the cost?
For SMEs, honestly, the upfront cost can feel quite heavy, but long term it does improve efficiency and reduce paperwork.
Yeah, I agree. Over time, automation reduces manual work and also lowers human errors.
So basically, it's more like a long-term investment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I wonder, can e-invoicing completely eliminate tax fraud?
Honestly, no system can completely eliminate fraud, but it definitely makes it much more harder to hide and much easier to detect.
How do you see this changing Malaysia's business environment in the next 5 years?
I think we'll see more digitalization, better transparency, and also more structured financial reporting. And honestly, companies that adapt early will probably have an advantage.
If you could advise the government, what's one thing to improve implementation?
I would say more training and awareness programs for SMEs.
And maybe financial support or incentive to help the business upgrade their system.
For me, continuous engagement between IRB and business is really important so issues can be solved quickly.
So yeah, overall, e-invoicing isn't just a tax upgrade. I think it's more like a shift towards a more transparent and also digital economy in Malaysia. And of course, SME will feel some pressure at the start, but in the long term, the benefit for businesses, consumer, and the government are quite significant. Okay, so we have come to an end of podcast session today. Thank you so much to all of our guests for joining us today, and to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in for Tax Talks. Stay tuned for our next episode. Bye!